This is a story I guarantee you will not be hearing about on the 6 o'clock news tonight on RTE or any other mainstream media platform. I'm pretty sure you won't hear anything said about it by the Garda Commissioner or the Minister for Justice, Jim O'Callaghan. Maybe I'm going to be wrong about that, but something tells me this is not something that they want to get out into the public domain or be allowed to get out into the public domain and disseminated and spread around for people to understand some of the rogues that are currently working for Garda Síochána, or at least this one's suspended apparently. Listen to this. A Garda who left a teen humiliated on the street with puddle water has jail sentence overturned on appeal. This was an assault on a 17-year-old boy who was in state care, whose partner was in the hospital giving birth to their first child when he was stopped, searched without reason, then assaulted by this Garda who humiliated him in public. And the guards appealing against the tough sentence. Eoghan McGowan was serving Garda member when he assaulted the 17-year-old boy who was in the care of the state at the time. My goodness. Being in Irish state care as a child means nothing, given the stories that we're hearing about that are making the news these days. There was another story came out today that 200, they're admitting 200 people in child care of the Irish state were in fact adults. The Garda left the teenage father humiliated on a Dublin city street by twice filling a cup with puddle water, then pouring it over his tracksuit bottoms in an act of very deliberate degradation. Has had his 2-month jail term replaced by community service on appeal. In a way, that's worse than a physical assault, beating someone, punching someone. This has caused a lot of emotional harm to this kid who was also in state care at the time and should have been celebrating the birth of his first son. Instead, he was degraded by this Garda. The victim reported McGowan said, "You're soiling yourself," as he carried out the assault. What a big man, eh? Big man, McGowan. Of course, he wasn't alone. He was undercover at the time with a few of his buddies, all big men. McGowan pleaded guilty to assaulting the minor in 2023, Granby Place in Dublin. Sentenced to 4 months, with 2 months suspended. Why only 4 months? For assaulting a 17-year-old boy who was in state care for no justification. He's appealing against the sentence. He should have been bloody locked up for longer. David Parr, an investigating officer, told the district court that McGowan was a member of Garda Síochána, the Guardians of the Peace. That's what it means. Guardian of the Peace, eh? The injured party was 17 in care of the state. He had been at the Rotunda Hospital with his partner, who was in labour. Big day for that kid. Big day for that kid. She asked him to go to her house to collect some items. He left the hospital and he was walking to her home, talking to her on the phone at the time. She was in labour. She was giving birth to their first child. Then an unmarked Garda vehicle driven by McGowan pulled up beside him. And in it were 4 Gardaí, including McGowan in plain clothes in the car. 4 big boys. 4 big boys. The injured party was approached by McGowan and another Garda, but neither identified themselves as Garda members. Cruising around in an unmarked car, plain clothes, just doing whatever the hell they like. McGowan took the injured party's phone. The teen was searched. He then bent his leap cards and put them back into his coat pocket, rendering them unusable. That was nice. It's a nice thing to do, wasn't it? The teen's phone was given back, and the Garda walked back to the vehicle while the injured party started picking up his belongings, which no doubt had been thrown on the ground. More disrespect. At that point, the injured party said he called the Garda a name that he couldn't recall. He was on his way to pick up clothes for his partner who was giving birth. He was stopped for no reason. He was searched for no reason. And then his property was damaged, allegedly, and then thrown on the ground. So he was understandably upset. He called the guard a name he couldn't recall. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he called him. The Gardaí are supposed to be professionals, not react to name calling, especially when it's 4-on-1 against a teenage boy, don't you think? This caused two other Gardaí to come back. They grabbed and restrained the teen against the patrol vehicle. McGowan remained in the car as the two other Garda held the teenager in a gooseneck hold. Big man, eh? McGowan then got out of the car, took a paper cup, took water from a puddle, then poured it onto the seat of the teen's tracksuit bottoms. He then repeated the action, filling up from the puddle again. He said the injured party reported that McGowan was said, "You're peeing yourself." It's the caliber of some of the people that are policing the streets of Dublin. They didn't identify themselves as Garda at any time. They then released him from the gooseneck hold and drove away. But it was caught on CCTV, unfortunately for them. Mind you, it made no damn difference because two of the other ones didn't even get prosecuted either. Now, what does it take? The young lad was very upset. He remained on the phone the whole time. His partner, who was in the hospital giving birth, had to listen to that. McGowan proposed handing over $5,000 to the injured party as a token of remorse. Remorse? Why? Because he was caught? Sure, he drove off without saying anything or identifying himself. What, did he wake up in the middle of the night, have cold sweats and turn himself in? Or was this all done because he was caught? The rat. The two other male Gardaí were prosecuted in the district court in relation to that, but ultimately the charges were dismissed. Caught on camera putting a 17-year-old boy into a gooseneck hold while he was assaulted by one of their other colleagues, and the charges were dismissed. This happened on the day that his baby was born, the young lad, the 17-year-old who was in care of the state. He fully cooperated. He said they were aggressive towards him. They were spiteful towards him. They were horrible in the way that they treated him. And, you know, if he was in care in the first place, he's probably had a rough old time growing up. Who knows what he's went through to begin with. And then to be assaulted in public and humiliated by multiple members of the so-called guardians of the peace. It's a disgrace. This should be main national news, blasted everywhere. He was humiliated, angry, and sad. He was left on the streets, dirty and overwhelmed. He felt embarrassed and angry by the Gardaí. He still has a fear of being stopped and assaulted again. He was said he was in fear of what they would do to him. Yeah, they could have done anything. They thought they were getting away with it. They didn't realize they were on CCTV. McGowan regrets his conduct, written a heartfelt apology letter. Yeah, why does he regret it? Was his conscience bothering him, or was it because he was pulled in front of a court, threatened with prison? The young lad rising above these hooligans said he forgave the defendant for the offence. He's still suspended from Garda Síochána, as far as he's aware. Is he? But he's still got a job. He'd never had disciplinary actions before. Maybe he just was never caught. I don't know. The area where the assault took place was a black spot for drug dealing. The judge, however, said that was clearly no lawful authority to search the injured party invoked by anyone. The job of being a guardian in that area was becoming quite difficult, which contributed to the stress of the officers. Well, get people with a better temperament before you let them out on the streets. Maybe that would be a good idea, or train them properly. He graduated in 2017 from Templemore Garda College and worked in Store Street, then moved to the drugs unit. His client's actions were deeply regretted, but otherwise, he was an impeccably behaved citizen and Garda. Well, if that CCTV hadn't have came to light, then he would still be regarded as a highly civilized and impeccably behaved citizen and member of the Garda. But it came out, and then he appealed it, so he's getting some community service instead of jail time. And he hasn't been kicked out of the force that we know about. Child protection. Child protection by the Irish state. Tell me what you think below. Share this video, cut and paste the link, dump it into whatever groups you're part of. Email it to people. Do what you need to do. Let's get the facts out there. What's really going on the streets. For now, I'm Rick Mann. This is No Risk, No Reward Media. Over and out.